This is the story of humble guys who changed the course of pop music and made electronic sound an integral part of global culture. They created their own universe, a kingdom of cold synthesizers, clever lyrics, and vibrant performances. Buckle up, because today you'll learn the secrets, dramatic twists, and the fate of a duo that seemingly didn't seek out loud fame, but that fame found them instead. Two guys were able to sell more than millions of records worldwide, and they have been included in the Guinness Book of Records as the most successful duo. In the history of British pop music, they are friends, 3-time Brit Award winners, and 6-time Grammy nominees. Since '84, they achieved 42 singles that made it into the top 30, with 22 of those reaching the top 10 of the charts and the single chart. In America, they were only surpassed in the club scene by Madonna, Michael Jackson, and Donna Summer. Incredible, friends, but it's true. Welcome to the world. Pet Shop Boys. Friends, make sure to watch the video until the end, and we'll take a stroll through this amazing duo and discover 26 incredible facts about the group. Well, at the end, we'll be giving away this vinyl. This isn't Pet Shop Boys, but I'm sure you'll like it anyway. So, make sure to watch, leave comments, and join our Telegram channel, because that's where the final giveaway will take place. London, the early '80s, a melting pot of new musical directions. Post-punk, emerging synth-pop club culture. And somewhere at the intersection of this chaos, two people met. Neil Francis Tennant and Chris Sean Lowe. One was a future musician journalist, and the other was an architecture student. Both are madly in love with music. They met in an electronics store, literally between the shelves of synthesizers and boxes of vinyl records. Tennant is needed. There was a cable for the Korg MS-10 synthesizer he bought, which led to a magical encounter with Lowe. That day, there was something special in the air. No one expected that this meeting would give birth to a duo that would shape the face of the British pop scene for decades to come. But that's exactly how it all happened. Fact 1. Neil Tennant worked at Smash Hits magazine, where he wrote about music, which gave him behind-the-scenes access. The industry. This connection was very helpful. Later on, promoting the Pet Shop Boys became much easier with skills like that. Fact 2. Chris Lowe, besides music, has always been interested in architecture, and in the future Pet Shop Boys shows. This influenced the design of the stages, which have a constructivist clarity of lines. From the very beginning, Neil and Chris were literally obsessed with experimenting with sound. They were racing tapes around London studios, trying out different effects and beats. At first they wanted to call themselves West End, after the place they loved to hang out, but fate had other plans. Otherwise, the idea came up to call themselves the Pet Shop Boys, in honor of friends who worked at an exotic animal store. And that name sounded so good that it was impossible to back out. Mysterious, strange, and at the same time stylish. Fact 3. According to the musicians, they liked the urban vibe of the phrase Pet Shop Boys, which fit perfectly into their minimalist aesthetics reflected the spirit of London street culture. Fact 4. The first demos of the Pet Shop Boys were made in a tiny room on King's Row where there wasn't even proper soundproofing. According to the neighbors, a constant hurricane of electronic sounds poured out from there at night, and people from above, as well as below, kept complaining about our favorites. That's how friends saved on VicoStick, although I guess there probably wasn't even such a brand back then. Who knows? 1984. I was just born, and the world is hearing West End Girls. Back in England, but in the US, the track immediately started playing in clubs and on various radio stations. As they say, water wears away stone, and the song started to slowly gain traction. The American audience felt the freshness of the sound and the intelligence of Tennant, along with the succinctness of Lowe. The whole mix was mesmerizing. West End Girls literally burst onto the top of the charts as if someone had opened the doors to the future of electronic pop music. In January, in '86, the song topped the British and American charts. Fact 5. West End Girls won the prestigious Brit Award for Best Single in '87, solidifying the duo's status as a dizzying sensation. Fact 6. When Tennant first heard West End Girls on the radio in a London taxi, he couldn't believe that this is really their recording. I thought, this is incredible, someone is copying us, it's time to run to court, he said. You see how life can be. After the first breakthrough came the first disappointments. Their contract, as often happens, turned out to be unfavorable. The label didn't believe in the Pet Shop Boys and effectively sabotaged their further work. Legal battles, threats, loss of recording rights, this almost put an end to the duo's career right at the start. We saw something similar with Wham and then with George Michael, who almost ended his career. And then Sonia's litigation, which he, unfortunately, lost, but still later took revenge with his super successful album Older, which I personally consider the best. His work is just magnificent. This is Jesus to a Child.
Jesus to a child.
Past Love. And it doesn't really matter. Yeah, all the songs on this album are just amazing. By the way, it was recorded, I think, under DreamWorks and Virgin, but Tennant and Lowe didn't give up. They broke their contract and moved to Parlophone, the same label that handed over the Beatles, which at one time became a haven for legendary rock musicians, such as Shaky Stevens. You've watched my video about this, I won't hesitate to say it. If you haven't seen it, then go ahead and enjoy it, because this guy was really cool, but hardly anyone knows about him, and I made a video about him. Fact 8. Thanks to the new contract, the Pet Shop Boys gained more rights to their own works and could finally manage their sound. Without the dictates of producers, so to speak, they could do everything well, or almost everything, that they wanted in 1987. The Pet Shop Boys deliver the next blow. It's a Sin. A powerful, loud, and provocative track that combines church themes, feelings of guilt, and a dance beat. The song instantly caused a scandal. Conservative circles screamed about offending the feelings of believers, while the youth fell in love with the boldness and depth of the composition. That's how it goes, friends, by the way, against it. Neil Tennant, later, admitted that It's a Sin is filled with memories of a strict Catholic upbringing, when for the slightest offense you were told that you were a sinner, and if you wanted, they could even beat you with rods. By the way, friends, were you harshly punished as children? Just write it in the comments. I think that it's a serious topic. Music became a kind of confession, and it topped the UK charts for the second time in the duo's career. Fact 9. The church has officially criticized Pet Shop Boy for such anti-religious sentiments in the song, although the musicians themselves claimed that they only wanted to express their personal experiences. Of Tennant, fact 10. In 1987, It's a Sin reached the #1 spot, not only in the UK chart, but in many European countries as well. It became an anthem for the emerging generation of the late 80s. In my opinion, it's right that they were criticized because, as one of my wise acquaintances used to say, don't mention the Lord in your friends. Despite the challenges, the success of the Pet Shop Boys was so overwhelming that not just their contemporaries, but real stars from past eras were drawn to them. They recorded What Have I Done to Deserve This? with Dusty Springfield, and the track instantly becomes a hit. Next up is Liza Minnelli, for whom the duo produced an album that combines the aesthetics of Broadway shows and electronic or pop. I think you'll agree, not that often, electronic musicians of the 80s dared to collaborate with icons of classical vocals. But the Pet Shop Boys weren't afraid to take risks. This risk only made them more popular. Fact 11. They also worked on a remix for David Bowie, Hello Space Boy, which ultimately made it into the top singles and showed how bold experiments with different genres can be. Fact 12. The Pet Shop Boys have never shied away from working on other people's material. If they saw this as a challenge, their motto, music, this is an endless field for discoveries. So friends, don't be afraid of work, like the Pet Shop Boys. Patience and hard work will overcome everything. And they are great. After a cascade of dance hits, the Pet Shop Boys decided to expand their sound palette. The album, Introspective, became a mix of long club tracks and unusual arrangements. Behavior is one of the most lyrical and mature works of the duo. Fans were just shocked. Where are the familiar beats? Where's that light danceability? But it is precisely in this boldness that the magic of the Pet Shop Boys lies. How fickle is the success of a thing? Neil Tennant once said that the imperial phase of the Pet Shop Boys ended in September. In 1988, when their single Dominant Dancing entered the UK single chart, it reached 9th place and only got as high as 7th. In the end, Tennant recalled being disappointed to hear the news. He felt that their peak period was over and that it would be difficult to maintain their level of success in the future. How wrong he was, because future successes were just ahead. a tender and gentle super hit that initially only reached 20th place in the UK chart. B in boarding. One of the most beloved songs from the album Behavior is still a favorite among devoted fans. It wonderfully combines melancholy nostalgia for youth and the reckoning for mistakes. The music video for the lyrics became a true anthem for those who are growing up and wondering what comes next. Fact 13. During the recording of the album Behavior, the musicians used analog synthesizers and rejected some digital effects to emphasize the human sound. By the way, I agree with them. If I had to choose an amplifier, it would only be in Class A or B, and definitely no Class D for myself. Fact 14. The song by Ben Boring was dedicated to a friend who was a tenant and died of AIDS, which adds a special bitterness and depth to it. The title in his lyrics is taken from a quote by Zelda Fitzgerald. She refused to sound mainly because she was not boring. That's how it is, friends. In general, the Pet Shop Boys have always been known for having some kind of meaning in their songs. Our heroes never limited themselves to just albums. In 1987, they released the film It Couldn't Happen Here. In a surreal film where reality and dreams mixed in dance, it was a risky move because the mix of music video and art house rarely found a large audience. But, you see, they succeeded, even though it wasn't very successful overall. The film flopped at the box office, but today it's considered a cult classic. It tells the stories of their songs, the imagery, and transitions from one surreal episode to another. In other words, we're wandering through the labyrinth of the duo's subconscious. It's kind of like the movie Being John Malkovich. You saw that. Well, it's not genius, but it's a pretty solid film. No? Then let's go on a quest. Fact 15. In some theaters, It Couldn't Happen Here only ran for a couple of weeks, but over the years, the film has become a collector's rarity and is now sold at auctions for impressive amounts. Well, of course, on physical media. Fact 16. Soon, the Pet Shop Boys were busy designing their own theater production. Performance in 1991. Year combining stage images, video sequences, and music into a single narrative, effectively anticipating the concept of musical theater in pop. In pop, 1960-92. With the release of the album Very, the Pet Shop Boys unexpectedly chose a bright visual aesthetic, with orange and acid-colored outfits, absurd headgear, and danceable rhythms. The single Go West, the cover of Village People became not just a hit, it was played in stadiums, in commercials everywhere, from every corner. It's like, remember the song Happy Fargo? Somewhere around 2016. More precisely, 2016. It's just impossible from everywhere. I hate it. And why such a turnaround? Because they were tired of the melancholy of Behavior and wanted to explode the price with color and positivity. And how did that turn out for them? Brilliant is still considered one of the most commercially successful projects in the world, Duo Fact 17. The music video for Go West was styled after Soviet aesthetics, featuring columns and red squares, which caused quite a bit of surprise in Western Europe and became the subject of numerous discussions in the media. Fact 18. On the Discovery Tour in 1994-1995, the Pet Shop Boys were the first to actively use giant multimedia screens, which marked a new milestone in their tradition. A theatrical performance, a wow effect, is all about the Pet Shop Boys. And why is that? Again, because they are young and creative. We need change, friends, change. There's no way around it. In the late 90s, the Pet Shop Boys returned to conceptual solutions with the release of Nightlife, an album that brought together tracks about the nightlife of big cities and created a theatrical production. The tour where Chris Lowe performed in a comic-style hat while Neil Tennant wore elegant tailcoats that changed into neon suits. Do you remember those performances? I remember very well when I was in college. Following Nightlife Live, a more vibrant-sounding release came out in 2002 with a guitar touch. And in September 2004, the Pet Shop Boys performed at a free concert in Trafalgar Square in London. Where they performed a completely new soundtrack for the silent film from 1925. Battleship Potemkin, directed by the Soviet filmmaker Sergei Eisenstein and produced at the Goskino Film Studio in 1925. By the way, this film has repeatedly been recognized by experts as one of the greatest films of all time, according to surveys of critics, directors, and the public. Have you watched this truly genius film? If not, go for it. Battleship Potemkin. Do you see how our art touched the English heart? In 2005, the Pet Shop Boys were chosen as the headliners for the Moscow Live concert, 8 at Red Square, where between 60,000 to 80,000 people gathered. Everyone came to see their performance. I still remember that day. It's a shame I couldn't make it to that magnificent concert. And those lucky ones who saw it told me that it was truly one of the best shows and concerts. I don't agree with them. When it comes to passion, nothing beats the performances of Rammstein because they are true monsters in both rock and performance. In 2006, Fundamental was released, a politically charged album that addresses themes of war, security, and the paranoia of the modern world. Each new work of the duo is a step in an unexpected direction. It's just some kind of mystique. Fact 19. The Pet Shop Boys weren't afraid to criticize politics. In I'm We Stupid, they ironically mock the relationship between Prime Minister Tony Blair and President George Bush. By the way, George Michael played with a similar theme. I remember when I watched his concert, in the song Shoot the Dog, he inflated this huge English bulldog that approached the Prime Minister, back when it was Tony Blair, and you know what it did to him. It wouldn't be polite to say, well, you know, I'm in shock, can you imagine? This happened right in London. Well, they didn't like him. Tony Blair, but on the other hand, why love him? He did it then. He essentially started the war in Iraq together with the US. In general, it was a tough time. But the English, you see, are quite brave. They criticize their government without fear. Fact 20. The song Home and Ride from 2002 gained fame thanks to the music video featuring rats running around the London Underground. It's an amazingly tender yet funny metaphor about life in a big city. You see, there are always some experiments going on. On October 8th, 2007, the Pet Shop Boys released Disco 4, an album that mainly consisted of remixes done by the Pet Shop Boys of works by other artists. Over the past decades, they've been associated with The Killers, David Bowie, Yoko Ono, Madonna, Atomizer. I don't even know that band, by the way. And of course, my favorite, but again, the rock monster Rammstein, led by Till, who really loved the people of the Soviet Union, said that we had cyborgs back then. Starting from the 2010s, the Pet Shop Boys continued to explore new technologies and collaborate with young producers. The album Electric was met with enthusiastic reviews. It's a return to their dance roots, but with a modern club twist, so to speak, with aesthetics. Awesome. Another experiment full of lightness and humor. Their work, Hotspot from 2020, combines electronic magic and a melodiousness that's well known to fans. In this way, the Pet Shop Boys have proven that even after decades, you can still remain relevant. They, like alchemists, mix styles, capturing the essence of the times while maintaining their unique identity. Fact 21. On the recording of Electric, the duo collaborated with Stuart Price, known for his work with Madonna, The Killers, and New Order. This gave the album a more tribal sound. Fact 22. In the Super Tour from 2016 to 2019, the stage costumes were inspired by retro-futuristic concept art. The audience noted the unusual cubic needle hats and bright decorations. But it's all in the style of the Pet Shop Boys. How they know how to love and how we love them. Because this duo is just incredible, friends. By the way, what's your favorite song of theirs? Please write it in the comments. Thank you. Besides their hit songs, the Pet Shop Boys have conquered the world with their aesthetics. They rarely give interviews, share little about their personal lives, and are practically inactive on social media. But at the same time, they create a colossal visual show. Chris Lowe often appears on stage in dark glasses and hats. Neil Tennant can sing calmly, static, but there are dozens of dancers around, light structures, whimsical decorations, effects. All of this is around them. They are calm, as always. It's the mystery of the image, part of the success. Fans feel that behind the impeccably polished coldness lies a powerful creative volcano, and everyone wants to touch that mystery, even for a moment, even for a minute, even for a second, to understand what's going on inside them, what's in their heads, and it's something else. Fact 23. At the beginning of their career, the Pet Shop Boys deliberately looked in different directions during photo shoots to create a sense of alienation and mystery. This became their signature move. Fact 24. In 2009, they were awarded the Brit Award for their outstanding contribution to music, and their performance at the ceremony turned into a colossal mix of more than 20 songs, visually designed as a single performance, again, smoothly transitioning, flowing, just real madness and creativity. From the perspective of dance music, this is truly pop music at its most creative. Looking back, it's impossible to imagine British music without the Pet Shop Boys. They proved that synthpop can be intellectual, and deep and pop music can carry elements of performance, theater, and even philosophy. Dozens of artists have been inspired by their style, from indie bands to contemporary pop artists, from the electronic scene in Berlin to the clubs in Los Angeles. The Pet Shop Boys created a bridge between underground electronic music and the mainstream, forming a language that an entire generation speaks. Fact 25, the Pet Shop Boys, in terms of record sales, top 10 of the British chart. That's how they came in. And their singles are considered some of the most commercially successful in the UK. According to the Genius Book of Records, fact 26, their influence is visible in the world. Fashion. A famous designer, for example, Garrett Buck, admits that he drew inspiration for his collection from the visual image of the Pet Shop Boys. In general, they use clothing, Dior Eugene Yamamoto. Overall, the guys have style. It's been over 40 years. The Pet Shop Boys have traveled their own path from underground London clubs to the biggest stadiums in the world. They are called cold perfectionists and at the same time great romantics of synthpop. They provoke thought but also make you reflect. They are bold yet paradoxically restrained. During this time, they have given us millions of records, hundreds of concerts, and unforgettable shows, and it seems they have no intention of stopping. This is where their main magic lies. With each album, the Pet Shop Boys stay true to themselves, but they always surprise. What do you need to do to get this gorgeous vinyl? Of course, leave a proper comment, like, and subscribe to us everywhere you can. And of course, on our Telegram channel, where there will be a giveaway of this beautiful record. Stereo, the Qui Special 3.